Hi, welcome back from spring break. I'm in the process of grading the literature reviews, and I've noticed a few things pretty consistent across some of them. I'll just go ahead and drop you a message about this real quickly while you're waiting for your feedback so that you can understand what's happening. Several of you, first of all, did very, very well on this, and then others that didn't do so well, and the divide seems to be basically, I think, who understood the assignment and who didn't understand the assignment. So real quickly, what I'm seeing, because some of you are going to have some revisions to do, and just to clarify some of the comments I'm leaving for you. Remember, first of all, the literature review is supposed to be objective. So some of you are using a lot of first-person pronouns. You're dropping in phrases like I think, or I believe, or I understand, and you don't want to do that in the lit review. It should be purely objective. So you don't want any of your own opinion in the paper, and you don't want to offer any interpretation on your topic. You're simply presenting the literature, which is the scholarship that you collected. So remember, you're using only the secondary sources, no primary sources here. So your introduction should just introduce your topic and the categories that you grouped your sources into. And that's something else I'm seeing, is that several of you don't have categories established. So if you had done the outline, and some of you did and some of you didn't, but if you had done the outline, then you should have had clear categories established, and your secondary sources would be into those categories, 2 or 3 sources per category probably, and that category becomes a paragraph. And so what I'm seeing in some of these is that each source is getting its own paragraph, and then there's a lot of discussion about the source, and it makes it feel like what you've done is taken the annotations from the annotated bibliography, cut them, pasted them into the lit review, and then resequenced everything. And that's not what the lit review is. So you should have clear categories, and those categories will be identified in your introduction, and then you'd have a topic sentence for each paragraph that identifies what the category is, its relationship to the topic, and then the sources presented in whatever order you see fit. You need to introduce each source with the author's full name, the title of the article. I don't need to know the journal it comes from. I need to know the name of the author and the title of the article. And then that needs to match what's on your works cited. So make sure that those two things match up. And then once you've introduced the source, you need to provide a direct quote. Several of you are not providing quotes from your sources. And again, it makes it look like what you've done is copy over the annotation from the annotated bibliography. This isn't a summary of the source. You need to have a direct quote now that illustrates why this particular source is in this category, right? How this source deals with what you've said it's dealing with. And then you provide just a very brief, maybe 2 or 3 sentences analysis of that quote, and move directly into the next source. Don't forget to provide page numbers for the quotes. If you're missing the author's name, the name of the article, or the page numbers on the direct quote, or an entry on the works cited, if you're missing any of that, then you rendered the documentation completely useless. Now you have to have all the pieces. You have to have the author and the article, and you have to have page numbers. You provide a quote with no page number, then there's no way for anyone to go back and verify the quote. So you've really just shot the whole documentation at that point. So all those pieces are important. So make sure you have all of that. And again, I gave you samples of what the outline looked like and a sample of what a finished lit review looks like. And then I provided you with that color-coded paragraph outline. And it's clear who's following that and who isn't following it. The formatting, the organization, the documentation, that's what's important on the lit review. And so if you don't have that stuff right, then you're not getting a high score, and you're going to want to do a revision at some point. So go back and look at that at the documents I provided for you. Several people did very well on this from what I've seen so far, and so if you're one of those people who's done well, you might expect some solicitation from some of the other students in the class who might want to look at your project to see what you've done. And it's entirely up to you whether or not you share that with them. You may even want to offer that up to the class if you did particularly well. So, as another example of something to look at. But again, just follow the materials that I provided for you. And of course, if you're going to do a revision and you don't understand the feedback you got, make sure you contact me.